Happy Wednesday. Yes, it's been a minute since we last talked about the commander who craps his khakis. So let's do it now. Joe, how you feeling?
Hey, Joe, you talk like you got a hole in your head. No, there ain't no hole. It just spills out the front and the sides every night when I'm in bed.
Nice. Apparently, the big guy has had it with everyone discussing his advanced age. He must be using a miracle ear. But he's tired of people bringing it up, from pundits to the caretakers at Jurassic Park. Advanced age, that's a pleasant way of saying his first hair plugs were made from a woolly mammoth. But maybe the old guy has a point. Fact is, jokes about Joe's age are easy. Just like the jokes about Trump's temperament, remember? Trump said we'd get tired of winning, and Joe's brain cells kept thinning. But as Politico reports, quote, the president has vented to allies about how often his age is mentioned in the press. Quote, quoting the president, "You think I don't know how old I am?" He said to one earlier this year, to which the reporter replied, "Sir, that's a lamp." I'm over here, Mr. President. But the sad fact is, Joe, we do think you don't know how old you are, nor do you know where you are and how to exit from a stage and who your grandchildren are. At 80, he's now officially the oldest president to ever wet Lincoln's bed. At least by accident. It's a shout out to Bill Clinton. Yeah. Oh, you're disgusting. You're sick people. But he's certainly the first to confuse his sister for his wife, and sure, sometimes he'll confuse the kitchen for the bathroom, which explains why Jill keeps a roll of toilet paper next to the waffle iron, and why she often finds pancake batter on her hairbrushes. Just this week, we bore witness to the latest confused mess. On Monday at a Toys for Tots event, or as Joe refers to it, Sniffer's Paradise. The Prez needed some guidance. You know, it's the first time a child coerced an adult into a van. Still, it's refreshing to see a child leading a Democrat and not a Democrat leading a child to a gender reassignment clinic. Oh, that's important. But he ended up with a child's toy bicycle. At least he won't have to fall as far from that one. Yeah. Oh, he tried to mount it, but the least they could do is at least leave the training wheels on. Wow. I haven't seen a mount that awkward since I fell asleep in the woods covered in deer urine. It's my favorite Christmas. But doesn't Biden remember what happened the last time he met a bike?
Dr. Biden, how was your anniversary?
Now, the upside, if he fell and hit his head, it might improve his memory. That's the joy of aging. Not only do we forget the present, we remember the past differently. We saw him fall off a bike, but he remembers riding in the Tour de France with corn pop. And Joe was on more meds than Lance Armstrong. Look, being old is a good place to be in life. I love it. At least for you, but not the country you govern or the bus that you're driving. Sure, it's fun and games and leather jackets and aviators. You know, that's why they call them Top Gums. But the rest of us wonder if he's aware the country's in the crapper. You know, he should. It's where he spends 80% of his day. Bottom line, people want him out. A new poll shows that 58% of voters do not want Joe to run again for that very reason. And only 30% do want him to give it another go. 12% just want him to stop licking their hair. And now groups to the left of him want him out.
It's absolutely critical that we don't allow a Republican to win the White House in 2024.
I'm concerned with Joe Biden's low polling.
With his low popularity, it's way too much of a gamble.
If he runs, the election is at serious risk.
Joe Biden representing the status quo in 2024 simply won't cut it.
We can't afford to risk the White House to a Republican who could defeat status quo Joe. Our ideas are way more popular than Joe Biden is.
Joe Biden running undermines the Democratic Party's chances in 2024.
We can't afford to lose. Don't run, Joe.
Don't run, Joe.
Don't run, Joe.
Don't run, Joe.
I wonder what Starbucks they had to close to get all those actors. Maybe there's something good about a president who's heading into his 9th decade. For one, there's only so much Joe can do in a day. And again, you can say the same thing about people in open caskets. And true, old folks also have charming yarns to unravel, although Joes never make it anywhere.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
When they leave the saloon, receptionist, the salon, they're maybe going to a saloon, I don't know. But America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was Los Angeles and what am I doing here? The luxury home and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. The guys who are the kleptocracies.
I know, it's too easy to hit Joe for his age. You know, some people are still effective despite their advanced age. And there are so many other things we could hit Joe on, not just the number. But is it our fault we hit on the obvious? I don't remember any of the other late-night hosts pumping the brakes when it came to ripping Trump. But age is a big deal, although I'm not even sure it's Joe's biggest problem. Being old isn't the biggest issue if you're surrounded by good, smart, capable people. But that's not the case here. He's surrounded by younger people infected with wokeness detached from real life. They're arrogant, inexperienced, and they're angry. They want to change America and not for the better. So Joe may be old, but they're kind of dangerous. Sadly, it's his advanced age that lets them roll right over him like a speed bump with dentures. It's too easy to blame Joe for everything, but it's really the people running the show, and they're so young they could share a diaper with him. The lesson here, it's not always the president who matters, it's who's pulling the strings. And as long as he has a good breakfast, a good morning BM, and someone to read him highlights at bedtimes, Joe's just fine with the tug from above. So, Joe, take us home, if you can find it.
No. Look. I'm doing things guys half my age could never dream of doing. The economy's down. Gas prices are up. Inflation's up. You find me a 40-year-old who can do all that. I love the 80s. Remember that show? It was about me.
There you go. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Her knowledge of the markets will fill your pockets. Host of Mornings with Maria on Fox Business, Maria Bartiromo. She knows as much about elections as I know about rejections. Republican strategist Aaron Perini. She once told Frosty the Snowman to chill out. Fox News contributor Kat Tim. And a sleeping bag is his Christmas stocking. My massive sidekick in the NWA World Television Heavyweight Champion, Tyrus. Maria, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. This is the first time ever, isn't it?
I know. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Are you really happy?
Yeah, I am. I've been watching you every night, even though it's past my bedtime. And I'm thinking I really want to go on that show because you had invited me when you first started,
Yes.
and it didn't work out.
You said not on your life.
No, I didn't.
And you said, I don't know who you are, and please leave my office. That's what you said. Granted, I wasn't wearing pants. But is it Joe's age or is it the people behind the scenes?
I think it's even more than that. I mean, I don't think it's the age. I actually think it's he has issues. I think he might have. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I've spoken with doctors.
That's all we need.
Like Dr. Ronnie Jackson. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, Congressman Jackson, says that he has dementia. So I mean, it's sad actually. It's not funny. I don't think it's his age. I think he has mental limitations.
Right. I would love people to diagnose me from TV.
Exactly.
I think they do.
That's why I said I'm not a doctor.
Yes. But do you really need to be a doctor these days to diagnose illnesses? You got Wikipedia. Like I can figure. I'm like so ahead of my doctor when I go there. I already know what I have. Yeah. I've already taken pictures of it, and I've sent it to Dr. Siegel.
Yeah.
By the time I show up, he's sick of seeing whatever I have.
I think it's a problem. I mean, you have others like adversaries watching what we're watching, and it's not good.
Yeah. So, Aaron, let's talk about the voters.
Yeah.
That's your wheelhouse.
It is.
Right, the sort of phrase that means expertise. Would the voters be more moved by policies or by his age or even maybe his health status?
I think voters are going to be most moved by his policies, not by his age, because everybody knew he was going to be old when they elected him in the first place. But I think if there's any real clear indication about, even with that ad saying, don't run, Joe Biden's aiming to run. They're trying to change the rules right now to make it easier for Joe Biden in the primary process to run, right? Putting South Carolina first with Democrats have floated. That's a payback to good old Jim Clyburn, the House member who helped Joe Biden win that state. That is a state that favors the establishment. And that's not a swing state. Democrats aren't about to win South Carolina.
Yeah.
They're setting this up so Joe Biden wins again. And whether or not that's his age or the people behind the scenes, the guy's going to run again in 24. And it's a mix of all of it together that's causing the disaster the American people are living through right now.
It's so strange because it seems so hard to believe. But when people keep saying it over and over again, it's suddenly like, oh, yeah, maybe that could happen. Kat, is it time for a public test that leaders should take so we can see how they truly function?
No, because what we know now is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It doesn't need to take a test to know that this. I want to know what the person said when he said, "Do they think I don't know how old I am?" Because kinda.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that person works with them, so they see more than we do. And if you consider the stuff that we do see, what are they seeing? And how did they reply to that question? Because it's not just him. There's a bunch of other people saying, yeah, you can do this. You're doing a great job. Or they must be, because he doesn't seem to think there's any problem.
Yeah, that's interesting because what do they see versus what, do we see? Maybe Steve Ducey or Peter Ducey can find out what they do see. Oh, you guys, you're definitely in the holiday spirit. Yeah. That was total charity clapter. So, but here's the thing about the age question. This is what kind of drives me nuts, Tyrus. I don't think Joe was anything special 20 years ago or 30 years or 40 years ago. He was your typical hack, pat you on the back, establishment politician, go along to get along. He just loved the perks of being a politician.
And I think he's liking the perks of being a president. It's the same behavior. I think the age thing gives him a cushion because nobody wants to attack the age thing. No one wants to be, what'd you call him, an ageist?
Yes.
We're all just trying to focus on our racism. We don't have time to jump into ageism. That's just too many isms for me.
Yeah.
But he gets a pass because I don't think it's that, because the VP can't speak either.
Yeah.
You got to play music to her stuff to convince yourself that she's beatnik poet messing with us. So I think it's more of the fact that they don't prepare, and he just goes. The one thing he's been consistent on through his entire political career, he goes with whatever good for Joe. And right now, he seems to feel that the progressive way is his way. So he doesn't read these teleprompters. He just they run it. He does it, and then the word will mess him up, and then he'll be like, oh, and everyone will be like, oh, he's old. No, he's incompetent. But if I was up here every night, and every time you went to me, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, dog. You know what I mean? So I was just.
We gotta go.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.